while I look this up, I know I'm going off script, but it looks like only code enforcement is here, Char. While I'm
Go ahead.
looking, can we do questions from the?
We can, and I'm trying to get Commissioner Irving in. It was still a problem with the link. So I am very sorry about that. But we tested that link and it worked last time we tested it. But anyhow, yeah, let's go ahead with questions. Where's my list of questions? Does anyone have?
I just pulled it up, Dawn. I have it. Read it. If you guys, I'm sorry. If
That's
you guys,
all right.
I can go ahead and read it if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. So what we're inspecting are some of the health and safety related violations will be inspected are as follow. It's unsafe building and structures in danger of partial or complete collapsing. Unsafe equipment presents a danger to the public. Rooming and boarding homes or assisting living locations with conditions that endangers the health and safety of the elderly and special need occupants. Sewer leaks or contamination of unsanitary conditions on private property. Water intrusion, making property uninhabitable. And building without a permit, and the closing of vacant structures that constitutes an endangerment to the public health or safety as a result of unsanitary or unsafe conditions. And to comply with the next phase of this emergency health protocol, the Code Compliance Administration will reduce its frontline work staff from 32 to no more than 8 officers each day, excluding weekends. So they're not out on the weekends anymore. The skeleton crew will only handle critical health and safety violations as they are reported. Each team will have one scheduled day over the next week or until further notice by the COO. This reduced work schedule will allow us to respond to critical service requests while continuing the social distancing as recommended by the CDC.
Okay.
We now also have, let's go ahead. Thank you, Ms. Hines, for that. Does anyone have any questions for her regarding her overview?
Sure.
Oh, I hear Sheer.
Okay, you don't want to wait to the end, so we can just go ahead and do the questions now?
Because we've got a little time.
Okay, Sandra, thank you for being here. And I understand that code compliance is limited duties due to COVID. But who do we need to speak to? Because a lot of us citizens, we're having issues in our neighborhoods, and it's compounding because we're not getting, the support that's needed from code enforcement. I understand social distancing, but I believe the job can be done with a fully operational, team. But we have things compounding. So who do we go after?
Okay. So what I'm going to suggest, please keep sending in your requests. Don't stop sending in your requests. We do not want you to stop doing that. Please continue to send in your requests as normal. They are venturing out to do what they call, I don't like to use the term drive-bys, but no contact.
Yes.
They're doing no contact inspections now, where they will go out and do an inspection of the property. So say for instance, if you guys call in and say that it's overgrowth at ABC Street, go out, but they're not going to make any contact with that person that lives at ABC Street because of the COVID.
Okay.
They'll take the pictures, and the property owner will get a warning notice.
Okay.
Have a certain amount of days to comply. Okay. So they're using stakes, and they're also putting it on the house, posting it to the house, or they use the stakes that they'll put the notice on the stake and put it in the ground in front of the house.
Okay.
And keep their safe distance.
Okay. But there will be, so we open the cases and no contact. Okay. And it's a warning. So once you get in the warning notice, I guess, what's the SLA? Like you give them a warning notice, you give them 10 days to comply?
It's according to what the violation is. And I'm going to say that most of the time they're giving them anywhere from 10 to 30 days.
Okay.
Comply to property. And then if it's not complied and due to, I mean, it's just like this is a whole new inspecting sort of thing right now. But to the courts, they might get what they call a final notice of violation, which that would be a big placard. You would see a big placard in somebody's yard.
Okay.
Yes, and that gives them that final 15 days to comply. And after that, it's basically, it's gonna go to court. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question for you, Ms. Hines. Let me go back to my list.
Yes, ma'am.
How many, once you've noted a code violation twice, what's the next step in the timeline for it? And someone gave an example of a house at 879 South Harrison Street.
Okay, so what really should happen? Say for instance, a code officer came to my property and say they came in January and they said that I had a damaged siding, overgrowth, junk vehicle, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They give me a notice for 30 days to comply.
Mm-hmm.
Days come by, and that's if they got in contact with me. So we have to think about if in contact with the owner, we get some kind of feedback from the owner. That's the case. You got in contact with me within the 30 days. I didn't comply, and then I'll get a court summons. Unless I can come up with something, say, hey, I got a contractor, this is the paperwork, they're gonna come out. It's gonna take me another 15 days to get it complied. We will work with our citizens.
Okay.
Say for instance, you get someone, and we have, I call them repeat offenders. We have people that will get a notice, will go to court, and still do not comply with the property. They'll get another court summons, come back to court, and I mean, it's like sometimes it might take 2 or 3 times before they really comply with the property.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot even find the owners. You know, it goes to NREM.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes we can't. I mean, they do title searches and everything and cannot find the owner. The property is just like in limbo.
Mm.
So that's the worst case scenario. And then that's when the CAB will take the responsibility of cleaning and boarding or tearing down of the property.
Okay. And how long does it, offhand, and you may be able or may not be able to, but how long does it take to have a property torn down?
About 6 months to a year.
Okay.
Yes.
6 months to a year.
And that's good because we have to take in effect, we have to make sure that everybody is notified. It have to go through the courts. The judge have to give the order. Then we have to make sure that we have the money to tear down the property, to clean and close it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we appreciate it. Don't go anywhere. Hang in there with us a little while. Let us try and get a couple of more people on. We certainly appreciate that. We're going to go next to, we're working a little bit out of the alignment of the agenda, but we do have Commissioner Irving Johnson on. So we're going to go ahead and let him come in at this moment. Valerie, if you can hear me, can you do his brief introduction, please?
She's still broken, sounds like. So he could do his own introduction.
Yeah, Commissioner Johnson, if you would, please go ahead. Welcome, and we apologize for the delay, but please take it away.
Okay, no problem. Good evening, everybody. Irvin Johnson, your famous DeKalb County Tax Commissioner for any number of reasons. How y'all doing this night?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you and answer some questions about the Tax Commissioner's Office. I did note that your agenda included some areas that really made my presentation really short. Of the 3 items that you have, property valuations, exemptions, and appeals, I have my dog is in the fight with the exemptions. The property valuations and appeals are tax assessor issues, and we get involved in them when we're trying to help the taxpayers understand the tax administration process.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of actually evaluating property and adjudicating appeals, that's actually the tax assessor. Now,
Okay.
for those of you who may not know, the tax assessor works under the direction of the Board of Assessment and the Board of Equalization. So that's a department separate and distinct from the tax commissioner's office. I know a lot of people are confused when they talk about the assessment of property. They think the tax commissioner is responsible for that. But actually, there's a separate department that establishes the values for property that's outside of the tax commissioner's office. And the appeal process is separate from the tax commissioner's office also. And that's really by design so that you don't, as we say, you don't have the fox watching the hen house. The person who's telling you what your property is worth is not the same person who's responsible for collecting taxes and billing. So that's the distinction. Years ago, we made allowances for handling exemptions by agreement with the tax assessor's office. That particular function can fall in either location, but we have agreed over the years that we will handle the application process for exemptions and not tax assessor's office. So the exemption part is your tax bill. That is the indication on your tax bill where you can actually save or lower your tax responsibility. An exemption obviously is a credit against your tax liability. And in DeKalb County, you have two basic types of exemptions. You have what is called a homeowner exemption, basic exemption, which you apply for and you get because you are the owner of residence as of January 1 of a given year. And the second type of exemption would be senior exemptions or special exemptions. And that category is subdivided into another 10 or 11 basic exemptions based on income and age. So, so those are the things that we have to deal with as far as your agenda is concerned. Now, of course, we get blamed for everything.
Of course you do.
We get blamed for everything because since our name it starts with the word tax, and since most people are unhappy with anybody associated with taxes, we're responsible for everything in DeKalb County. But actually, your taxes are created as a function of the school board, the cities, and the county. And the state no longer has a charge for state that they get in the county. So anytime you're really talking about taxes and the generation of your taxes, it starts somewhere other than this office. But we're the only ones that can bring that process together before you get a tax bill. So, so that's some basic stuff about the tax commission, the tax office. And of course, our other primary responsibility is the tag, title, and registration of vehicles. So those are two major things that we do in DeKalb County. And we don't have anything to do with giving money to senior citizens or giving money to schools. That's a function of the other governing authorities. So we have no legal authority or otherwise to dispatch money anywhere other than to the governing authorities. Governing authorities would be your cities, counties, and school boards.
Okay.
So that gives you a little idea of where we are.
Thank you so much. And to see, so you all do not set the tax rate. Your function is to distribute the taxes, but you distribute it to the school boards, city, and the county.
Yeah.
You're not responsible for setting the rate. So when we get these tax bills and they look like they're sky high and have tripled over the course of a year, that is not your department.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. Tax bills are a combination of your governing authorities deciding what, based on the services that you require as citizens, fire, hospital, sanitation, roads, how much money does the county or city need, which is they look at a budget and they come up with a mill rate. The school board has a mill rate, the county has a mill rate, and the city has a mill rate. So the combination of those factors, okay, will help decide what your tax bill is going to be. The tax assessor, okay, comes into play when it looks at the fair market value of your property. Now, all of us would love to have our property values go up while our taxes go down. But economically, that's not the way it works. And therefore, we have to understand that mathematically, you can have one component change, say the market value of your house, and have the mill rate stay the same, and yet have a slight tax increase because the value of the property went up. All right. And so you could have other factors that may change. The mill rate could change with the values being the same, and you could get a tax increase, or the mill rate could go down, value go up, and you still could end up with a tax savings. Okay. So you have to look at all of those factors that compile or compute your tax bill in order to decide where is the change coming from. So it could come from fair market value. It could come from a change in the mill rate. Okay. And it could come change from your city tax rate for those of you who live in a city. And it could come from the school board changing the mill rate for the school budget.
Okay. And again, your office is totally, because I want to make sure that we understand what you're responsible for, so we won't blame your department or your office for everything in the future.
Well,
so again,
that would be nice, but that's probably unrealistic.
yeah, most likely. You're absolutely right. But just to clarify, so we can make sure that others understand, your office once again is responsible for tax, for vehicle tax.
For the two primary areas are going to be for the motor vehicle tag, title, and registration.
Mm-hmm.
And the other area, which you're more intimately familiar with, is going to be the tax billing.
Okay.
All right. And the tax billing is the one that gets the most attention because you have to write a check.
Yes.
Right. You have to send somebody some money. And so you always want to know who you're sending it to.
That is.
And on your envelope is tax commissioner. And so you figure that I might as well talk to the guy that I'm sending the check to. And
yes.
that's to be expected. But in terms of the actual bill itself, that bill is developed based on what those governing authorities are doing, and not what the tax commissioner is doing. The tax commissioner has no legal authority to set your tax rates. And there are a lot of people who will tell you that the tax commissioner is the reason why your bill is going up or down. And that nothing can be further from the truth.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for him?
You want to unmute everyone because a lot of the participants are still muted.
Oh, okay.
Or you want them to?
No, we can unmute them. We've got a few minutes. I need to get back to it so I can do it. Yeah, we've got a few minutes so we can unmute them. Let's see. Unmute.
People can unmute themselves if they want to speak, can't they?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, if you have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, this is Kim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Johnson. Is your agency responsible for non-payment of taxes or tax liens?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so what do I do? Because there's a house in my subdivision that haven't paid their taxes, I know, since 2011, and nothing's being done. So what is normally the process for handling that? How does the county handle that?
Well, I'd have to know the specific property address that you're talking about, but in general, you'll have when the taxes go delinquent, the homeowner gets a delinquent tax bill, and if the taxes remain paid to the end of that year, then there's a lien filed for the unpaid taxes, and that's basically the process. We often don't know and whether somebody has paid or not until the end of the year. And so we have a process at the beginning of the year where liens are filed, where we start the process of collecting taxes.
Yeah, and I'm concerned because from what I can understand, and I know the system has been down for the last few days, but this dates back to at least 2011. So is there a way that I can share that information with you, that address?
What you have now is we're in the process of preparing for 2020 taxes. And so we're updating the current tax rolls with all the new data. So we'll normally shut the system down so that we don't have customers inside of the database.
Did you pee on yourself?
All right.
Let me
You
see.
still there?
Look at the panties.
Ms.
Okay, I'll
King?
get that information to you.
Okay, and your other question?
the panties.
If
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner. I think you were cut off. Did you finish your question, your comment?
You muted everybody.
I unmuted everybody. Hello, Commissioner Johnson?
Everybody's muted.
It's looking like it's unmuted. The mics are,
Okay.
okay, please try and unmute yourselves because I'm trying to unmute you and I said unmute everybody and it's telling me everybody's unmuted.
yeah,
Okay, see, there you are.
okay. Ms. Kim, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay,
thank you.
I was going to give you my email address so you could send me the property that you're talking about,
Yes.
and then we'll take a look at that one and see what's going on with it.
I
Okay.
have a question for Kim. Ms. Kim, this is a code
You ready?
enforcement.
You ready for the email address?
Yes.
Okay, it's IJJ
Okay.
OHNSO at DeKalb County GA.gov.
Okay. IJJOHNSO at DeKalbGA.gov.
Yeah, at JJOHNSO at DeKalb County GA.gov.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and just send me the parcel address and then we'll look into it and find out what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
All
Can I
right,
ask you a question real quick?
go ahead, Ms. Hines.
Code enforcement. Ms. Kim, is the property vacant?
You know what? I'm not exactly, well, there are people in and out of this residence on a regular basis, but for some reason they have code enforcement violations as well. So we're not sure what's going on with the property.
Can you, can I have that address, please?
Yes. 4630
Uh-huh.
Garden Hills Drive. And that's in Stone Mountain.
Okay.
Is that the 300-83 zip code or 388?
83.
83, okay.
Yes.
4630 Garden Hills.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We're gonna move on. Hold your questions. We've got Miss Officer Pearson on the line. And we're going to ask her, we were supposed to have Supervisor Bryant on the line, but he's not here. Officer Pearson.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Would you be so kind as to tell us what you can about your role in Officer Bryant's role in regards to what you do in code?
Yes, ma'am. I will try to speak on that. I am more so under the residential side of it. I have experience with business sweeps, but I will definitely have to say that Supervisor or Ms. Hines is probably way more well equipped to answer those questions. But I will say that just by working with Supervisor Bryant and his team, because we do stay in touch with each other, they I know they work on Fridays and they go out, as Ms. Hines have said, that they inspect the buildings. They will look for the businesses from anywhere from business license for the OC, like having certificate of occupancy. They are required to have those things posted, as well as we check, the team checks for open storage, making sure that dumpsters have all the storage, all the trash and debris inside the dumpsters, and it should be within an enclosed structure with a lock on it. They also check for the for any as Ms. Hines have said, like if they are to have license to carry or sell alcohol, any of those things they are required to have, and they should be in compliance with DeKalb County ordinance. Additionally, any signs, they're supposed to have updated, like plazas are supposed to have updated signs. So if there is a sign that is listed there, and it's not a business that is operating, they should have that sign removed. If it is damaged or dilapidated, they should have all of that. It should be upgraded. It should be changed or, repaired. Any damage, structural damage to the exterior should be repaired. And those are the things that I know that team is looking for, and they go out and are definitely writing citations, and they're on top of it. Like Ms. Hines have said, they're on top of that every Friday. I believe that team actually is one of the teams that probably is the most, all of their members on their team are actually active on Friday. So that's the information that I have.
Thank you so much for allowing me to put you on the spot, and I appreciate you. Now, if you could give us a brief overview of the residential problems.
Yes, ma'am. So as Ms. Hines have said, that we are limited, the staff, and we try to handle those things that she mentioned that are quote unquote priority. Anything dealing with the safety of the constituents, if it's an abandoned house or a house that no one obviously is living in, then we are writing citations. We try to give them a warning in time to come in compliance, but unfortunately, giving time sometimes will allow something unfortunate to happen. And so there are times where we do not give a certain amount of time because it's unacceptable. So if the grass is so high, I've had situations where the grass was so high that I couldn't just allow them to have 2 or 3 weeks to handle that. So those are situations where if they're afraid that snakes are living in high weeds and grass, like I said, abandoned homes that, need to be locked up, where there are vagrants that are living in the homes. Those are the things that we definitely want to take care of. Anything that I believe Ms. Hines talked about, sewage, anything that's hazardous to the health, that's a priority for us. As she stated before, continue to call in. If you call in and you have a situation where it is about it's harmful, or it's the safety of the constituents, the children, animals, anything like that, please stress when you call in to 311, make sure that you stress that, because that is what we need to know in order to prioritize the cases. We have a lot of cases, and because of, we don't want to make it seem like, well, because of the COVID-19 that, we just can't get to everyone. We will try to get to everyone as soon as we are able and it is safe to do so, but we definitely want those things that are detrimental to someone's health, life and safety to be a priority. So we definitely want you all to continue to call those cases in, whether you feel like if you call it in and you don't feel like you're getting results, call the supervisor, find out the supervisor for that officer or that team or whatever. You're allowed to have the number to the officer. You can ask for that as well. So feel free to do those things, because even though we're not fully staffed, it doesn't mean that we are not wanting to handle the community's problems and issues that they are having, because when you all are not happy, we know that we need to be on our job and doing things. So we definitely don't want you to feel like we're not listening because of COVID-19. We are definitely here. And those that are not out on the front line, they are also working remotely, and they're calling, they're reaching out to the different businesses and doing everything that they can by phone. And as she stated, we're sending out warning notices, final warning notices. We're doing all of that. And in the end, we are following back up with court citations as well.
Thank you so much. Now, someone sent me a question, and Ms. Hines, you may be able to answer this because it's more in the business than it is residential. It says, why isn't businesses that close held to a higher standard of beautification in South DeKalb? Example, abandoned buildings on Redan Road in the Family Dollar and Dollar Plaza. FYI, this plaza is full of litter with most parking lights. Ooh, say that 3 times fast. Parking lights blown out. Can you address that for me?
Yes, I will address that. One is it might be that it's not even called in. We might have a case on it. In order to find out if there has been a case on it, I would need to get that address, and we can look at if the person that you're listening, you could either call myself, or I'm going to give you my phone number, and this is my cell number. So please feel free to call me, and that's for all the citizens that's out there listening to us doing this Zoom meeting. My number is 404-227-4501. Please, if you have an address or a concern like that, please send it to me with the address, and I will look into it, do an answer back, because it might be that we never got anything on that.
Would you repeat that number? I'm sorry, you kind of broke up on us.
Okay, it's 404-227-4571.
Thank you. Excuse me, would you guys, if you're not speaking, mute your phone? I hear dogs barking and sort of scratching or some type of feedback in the background. So if you're not speaking or asking a question, please mute your phones. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Hines.
Okay, so with that being said, we will definitely look into, with that address, we'll look into it, because you guys are our best eyes and ears. We have officers, but you know, DeKalb it's a big county for what we're inspecting. So sometimes things, you might think that we're seeing everything. A lot of times we don't see everything. So we do need our citizens to help us to make a better DeKalb.
Thank you. And one other question that I was asked, can you tell me how many employees are employed in code?
Okay, that's a good question. Right now we have like 40 total staff. Okay, I'm in the process of bringing on, actually we completed our interviews last week. We're going to be bringing on 2 new officers, and that's the regular entry-level code officer, admin staff, and then tomorrow we'll be interviewing for a senior officer.
So how many officers do you, how often do you all hold job fairs, and how many employees do you hire per fair?
Okay, so basically what the total amount of officers that would be the ideal is to be back up to our 40. We had 40 officers at one time on the ground. Right now we have 32.
Okay.
Yes, we have 32 right now.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
Unmute.
Please unmute if you have a question.
I have a question. There is a gas station on North Harrison, 1101 North Harrison, the Food Mart. And this gas station the canopy is falling, and it's in a terrible state. The grass has not been cut. And my understanding is that it has been reported to, the inspector has been out there. But I still see that it looks exactly the same way. I am not understanding why a business can look that way, and why DeKalb County is allowing a business to look that way. It's dangerous and it's unsightly. It's on
Okay.
the main street, main corner of North Harrison.
Okay.
Could you
So-
tell us who's speaking, please?
This is Cecilia Dixon.
Thank you, Miss Dixon. I didn't hear your name. Thank you. Okay, and was that to, who was that addressed to? Any member of
Colton.
Code? Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
So Ms. Dixon, thank you for giving me that address. I will forward this to our business, to Supervisor Bryant. And if you don't mind, if you have my phone number, because I like to give follow-up back to give you a feedback. If you don't mind, my phone will accept text. You want to just text me your information, so I can text you back tomorrow morning. By the close of business, I'll have an answer for you.
Thank you. I have the phone number. I will text you the information.
Okay, thank you. And I did write it down. I've got 1101 North Harrison, and it's the gas station, and you said it's the Canopy and Grass, and I'm also put that check for other violations.
Right, it's Food Mart, and it seems like they're also selling cars out there. It's a car, some semi type of undercover car dealership. I mean, it's a lot of activity going on out there.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay, I think we answered the question about residential code violations. Are they being checked during COVID? I think we answered that question. Is there a maximum number of zoning? No, that's for zoning. Let's see. What was the, someone sent me a text for wanting to know what are the core competencies or experience for code officers?
Okay, so for our, I would say for the regular code officers, we ask for you to have at least 2 years of customer service experience. And also, at one time we were asking for, like, if you were like did real estate, some kind of construction, that sort of thing. But I do all the training for the officers, and it is a trainable job. If you can read and write, I can train you to be a good officer.
Okay. No,
So-
you were saying, go ahead.
The minimum requirements is like 2 years high school diploma, 2 years of customer service experience for an entry-level position.
Okay. Someone sent me, they have a question, looks like this may be again for you or either Ms. Pearson, Officer Pearson. Home at, no, I think we talked about 4964 Club Green. No, that was Garden Hills. Okay, someone sent a question about 4964 Club Green Summit in Stone Mountain. It has a lot of violations over time. This looks like a summary, actually. They've been asked to put a fence around the property. Does the owner reimburse DeKalb for the cleanup?
Well, I know when DeKalb goes in, especially like with our abatement team, they do put a lien against the property. So if the property is ever sold, DeKalb will recoup their money that way for what cleaning clothes or they demoed the property.
Okay. Now this again may be you, Ms. Hines. We got you going today. Thank you so much. That was recently a request or a complaint with Old Boston Market on Redan Road. And we know that there was an inspection done. We know that the cars were removed, and we appreciate you guys for moving so swiftly on that. But we want to know, the question is, what is the step? Well, let me go back. Issue warning. Okay. Schedule of the 27th, that was taking place. The place was cleaned up. What is the next step on that property? Has the owner been identified or notified, and will they reimburse DeKalb County for the cleanup?
Okay, so if the DeKalb County actually cleaned up Boston Market, I would have to look into that to see if we cleaned it up or did the owner clean it up? So I wouldn't be able to answer that because I would have to speak with Danny Jordan them to see
Okay,
if they actually cleaned up the property or was the order was the property complied by the owner, you know, because if it's Boston Market,
mm-hmm,
9 out of 10 corporate would have got involved.
okay,
Boston Market owns that lot, that building.
right,
The office would have had to put in an order to have it cleaned.
okay.
Yes.
And we have been having some issues, and this is my question. We've had some issues recently and throughout the last couple of years with the BP and the Chevron stations on the corner of South Harrison. And we have been able to get the police department to provide some extra patrols through there, and they've been doing a great job on that. I see them just about every day or every other day, so we thank them for that. But I want to know, with the and this may not be code, does code or can code get involved with that as a business in order to maybe help keep the property a little bit cleaner, and so that so many lotterers will not be around? Because I don't know, do you guys handle lotterers? I guess that may be my question. How can
No,
we get
public safety? That would be public
that's
safety.
public safety? Okay, so so that was that.
We will handle. So
Okay,
if it's like a lot of litter around there, junk, trash, and debris. Let's say that he's having abandoned cars there.
mhm,
We will handle that. And I know the BP that you're talking about because I have had a conversation with the DeKalb police about those kids selling dope right in front of you. If you ever went to that BP,
mhm.
it's bad. I wouldn't go to the BP, you know, basically.
No, I don't.
Yeah. So I do know, I was in a meeting probably, I want to say last year, and they were supposed to be looking into, I think, some kind of task force for that building, for that BP, and to speak with the owner,
Okay,
BP.
okay. And I have one other question, and then we will let someone else ask questions. Does anybody, let me just yield, does anybody else have questions they want to ask? If you do, please unmute your phone.
I think there's a question on the chat board. It says code enforcement. This is Officer Pearson. I see there's a question says, do you have a citizen advisory board to assist with property in areas with minor to major concerns?
Yes, so thank you so much. That was my question. My name is Rosalind McCaskill, and that is my question. When they were in question about going around citizens seeing different properties at a certain way, and yet their officers do not get a chance to see everything because it's a big county. Is there an advisory board? Is there a citizen board? Is there something else that people can get involved to then go back to either one of you to let them know what's going on?
Now, there is an advisory board that meets once a month for code. It's a code advisory board. I don't have the information who actually chair that board, but if I can get your information, I will make sure that you get it.
Okay, or I can text you. You put your information in the chat, correct?
Yes, it's up there. Sandra,
Yes,
227. Yeah.
yes.
If you give me that, I'll make sure that I get that to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else have questions?
I have a question for Ms. Hines. I think I spoke to you probably early part of the year or the end of last year, 2019, regarding a home in the Woodcrest Manor subdivision, right as you enter the subdivision to the left. And for years, it has had cars all to the side, a whole lot of junk, and we spoke in depth. There is no address because it's all torn down, the mailbox and everything. And there are people in and out, and it looks like a car repair and or just storage of a lot of junk. And it's been, I know, over a year that I've been trying to get something done about it, and nothing has been done. And it is absolutely horrible as you come into the subdivision. We're right off All Good next to the elementary school.
And I remember that conversation.
And we spoke. I have your number. We talked, and nothing has been done. It's still the same.
So I would need to look and see which officer was assigned to that case, why nothing was done. And it would, so nothing was never done, no cars never moved, anything?
No, it's just as bad. It's horrible.
Okay, and I remember that conversation.
Okay, I remember that too.
You remember
Thank
the
you.
conversation?
Yes, I remember you telling me about it. I think I know the officer, but I'll wait for you to check on that officer.
What's your name? I'm sorry, because I'm trying to write this down.
Annie Turman. Yes.
Annie, did you do me a favor?
Mm-hmm.
Could you give me a text to that number?
Okay, I sure will.
Thank you. Don't forget now.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question that just came in. When are code enforcement standard operation procedures going to be completed? Been a long time.
I would have to refer that question back to our deputy director.
Okay.
That would be Tim Hardy.
Okay. We have to get him on here next time.
Yes.
I have an address and I will text it to you. I went through my neighborhood a couple of days ago and it's 1220 Sioux Way. And it looks like it's been abandoned. It hasn't been anybody in there in quite some time. I did go online and I did have it checked and there hasn't been any complaints or anything made on it. But it's overgrown, the yard is overgrown, the weeds and the windows, the doors and everything. So it really looks like it's been abandoned. But I'll send you that. The address is 1220 Sioux, S-I-O-U-X, Sioux Way. Because I've got another one I also want to send you, and it deals with a lot of cars, broken down cars in the yard. So I'll text you or email you both those addresses. Does anyone else have any questions for Ms. Hines? Does anyone have any questions for Officer Pearson? Has everybody's questions been answered? Does anyone have any questions, any additional questions for Commissioner Johnson? Okay, well, I'm taking silence to mean yes, your questions have been answered. You don't have any other questions to ask. I do want to thank you. We've still got 30 minutes now. You know, I hear a lot of chatter on next door about taxes, about code compliance. Oh, Lord, we have 230, Ms. Hines, 240 posts about code compliance. So I know we should have way more questions than what we're getting.
I'm surprised I'm getting off so easy.
I know, and I'm going to have a good time when I log on next door. I am going to have a wonderful time. I don't hear all of these complaints, and that was the sole purpose of inviting you guys so that we would not complain, but we would have a better understanding of exactly what these departments' responsibilities are so that we can get to the source and have things done and not be so quick to say, well, they don't care and they're not doing their jobs. Now, it's quiet as a church mouse on Zoom, so I'm hoping it's going to be this quiet tomorrow.
This is Kim. I have a question.
I got a question. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Kim.
I was going to go back and ask, I know we had an issue before. It's in Rockbridge, on Rockbridge Road at 4420, the gas station that closed down. And we've had this issue before, and I think they put, I can go back and verify whether or not it's been put out there or put one out there, but it's a vacant gas station that was closed down. Now tractor trailers are using it to park, as well as it's being used as a dumping ground for sofas again. And the reason I brought this up, because I did address this back, even in February 2019, I remember this coming up and I sent an email about it and got Commissioner Bradshaw involved. But is there anything that can be done? if once it's addressed, I mean, is there something that can be done where you're working with these companies to make sure we don't have these issues? Or, I mean, do you fence the building off? You know, what can be done? Because otherwise, I think if we just do something just to stop it at that point, they clean it up, and then we have the same issue again a couple months down the road.
Now, I do know that Keep DeKalb Beautiful have used those concrete blockers. I know you guys might have seen those before, that they will block off entrances. So people, because you cannot move those concrete blockers to do dumping. So we can look, what I will do, I'm gonna have Brian's team to look at it, but if we can get Keep DeKalb Beautiful involved and maybe put those barricades up.
Right.
They can't get on the property to dump or park the tractor trailers there anymore. So that's an idea that I have, that gonna have to get another department involved, and to see if the owner of 4420 Rock Bridge will, you know, say that's cool. We will go able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Officer Pearson, question
Yes,
for
ma'am.
you.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
has been some talk, chatter about semi trucks and box trucks that you use for moving, probably are described as moving trucks. Are those legal to have in residential communities?
No, ma'am, they are not. So if there's someone in the community and they have a complaint, they would just call it in, give us the address. Any information that you have, we welcome pictures, and you can let us know how long they have parked, have it parked. I don't know, is it in the driveway or on the street? Either way,
Both
they're
are on
not
the
supposed
street.
Okay, so the tractor trailers are not supposed to be, it's a,
Well,
it's a
it's actually
violation.
a it's a semi trailer. It's the cab of the tractor trailer.
Right, and they're not supposed to be parked in the county.
Okay.
We may also have to, and Ms. Hines, if you would chime in, we may also have to get the police department, PD, to come in as well if they're parked on the streets, because I mean it also involves like impeding the flow of traffic. So all of those things weigh in, but it is against the DeKalb County ordinance to have tractor trailers, commercial vehicles, any of those things. Vehicles are not supposed to be in the residential areas, and that is usually an immediate citation.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Let's see, what else do we have? I had another question on here. For abandoned properties.
Question. Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Millicent. Ms. Taylor.
Hi, sorry. I had a question in regards to a property. It's a gas station off of Covington would be the immediate roadway, but then I guess the intersect would be Reed. And behind the gas station is a car wash that seems to be turned into some late night juke joint kind of situation. And obviously it's not zoned for a business. What it looks like is they've taken the car wash stalls and put up fencing in front of the stalls, and they hang out there all night. And it's kind of scary. It's right across from the racetrack. So if you're familiar with the area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So is that something that you all will go out to address? Because, I'm fairly new to the area, so I didn't know the racetrack closes at 9:30. So the other night I had to go across the way, and then the scary people that are hanging out in the stalls, like, you just didn't know what was going on. It can't be safe and it can't be legal what they're doing, because it's plastic bags and fencing. So is that something that we report to you all as well?
Yes. With something like that, we're going to have to get public safety involved, because there's going to have to be a night detail that they will have to do their investigation on, especially if they're having a legal, a juke joint. So safety will have to get involved, and we would have to also, so what we would do is go out and inspect it to make sure that, see what's really going on out there, and see what code violations that we can deal with. But if it's activities and parties and things like that going on at night, public safety definitely is going to have to get involved.
I mean,
Now,
you can't miss it.
I'm sorry, I can't speak about the evening, but during the day, they do operate it as a car wash back there. I don't frequent the streets too much after sun go down, so I couldn't tell about what take place at night. But during the day,
Yeah.
they do, the gates are down and they do use the stalls as a car wash. And it's a pretty thriving business. They do pretty good. I have my car washed up there, that's why I know. But yeah,
Okay.
they do wash cars there during the day. Now, I can't speak about the legalities of it, you know, but that's what they do during the day.
Okay, so it's on
Thank you.
You're
the
welcome.
corner of Covington Highway and Redan Road.
Yeah, it's right
Yes.
it's in the Texaco parking, in the Texaco gas station.
It's behind it. And so I was like, is it a car wash? What is it? You know, and I know people tend to hang out at gas stations, but it's I don't want to call people zombies, but it gets kind of scary there at nighttime. And it's not a car wash at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh no, I can't speak about that, but I actually think the owner rents that place, that part back there, because it is on the Texaco property, and I think he rents it to them or leases it out to them. But yeah, you're right. I don't, as I say, I don't go out after sundown, so I couldn't speak on that. I have a question that says, for abandoned properties, can community cleanup be completed? Code enforcement. Thank you.
Okay, so when it comes to cleaning, going on someone else's property without their permission, there are, we don't want to do that because someone could actually sue you, or if you got hurt on their property or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Clean up the public right of way as a community project, something to that nature, but actually getting on an abandoned property without the permission of the owner, I would say no.
Okay. Another question. Are there any safeguards for non-seniors affected by gentrification? I think this was for you, Commissioner Johnson. It says, are there any safeguards for non-seniors affected by gentrification as market value affects taxes besides homestead?
Okay. You're asking the question is asking about the impact of economics, fair market values on those seniors who are having many McMansions built next to their houses and their taxes going up.
Yes.
Well, the only leverage that we have is to make sure that our seniors are applying for the exemptions that they're entitled to, and making sure that they do that on an annual basis. Every year we ask and send out reminders for our seniors to make sure that they're getting the best exemption that they can get. And we ask them in our community meetings to make sure that they call or come by the office so that we can review their exemption status every day. People
Pardon me for interrupting,
choosing
Commissioner.
in and around the neighborhood are taking advantage of the economics. Investors and other people who can afford to buy property are doing what most of us would do if we had discretionary funds. Unfortunately, that's not necessarily our situation. So we can't go out and do anything about stopping people from buying properties and building new homes. But what our citizens have to recognize is that that's a trend that's happening in DeKalb. And in DeKalb, you'll look at the rate of the investment in DeKalb is growing somewhat because other areas are getting saturated. If you go to other parts of DeKalb, you find that people are knocking homes down and replacing them with bigger homes. So if you're going to do any development in DeKalb and you want to do it more cheaply, then you'll start looking at other areas in DeKalb. And so that's what you see a lot of South DeKalb. You see other investors starting to come in and building homes. In the areas we're talking about around Redan, Covington, the young lady was just talking about that area near, I think it's Redan, and is that George Luther? that intersection where you have a couple of apartment complexes, townhome complexes going up. So you have a mixed bag in DeKalb in terms of development and the areas that where we need to focus on either cleanup through code enforcement, through public safety, and those kinds of things. So, so many people think there's nothing going on in DeKalb, but if you ride around DeKalb, which is 271 square miles, you'll find that a lot is going on in DeKalb. So more directly, if you have a senior who's experiencing problems with gentrification and taxes, one of the first place they need to come is to come and see us and make sure that they're getting the exemptions that they're entitled to. Every year, we'd be glad to look at it and make sure that they're getting the best exemption that they're entitled to. Remember also that exemptions are a legislative function. We don't create the exemptions. We just apply the exemptions to see people get qualified. So, but if you don't come in and apply, then you can't get it. And most people forget that they need to come to the office because they think it's going to be automatic. If you buy a home, you have to apply for your exemptions. If you move, you have to renew your exemptions. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Miss Julie, hold your question. I got one from Miss K. Miss K, unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, my question was somewhat answered in the prior response, and it was dealing with the Redan area and how it relates to our real estate value. Hopefully it will continue to appreciate, but do we have any direct information as to what is happening in the area that could give us hope, that can give us something to hold on to?
I'll take a stab at that one.
Thank you.
Depending, if the area we're talking about is usually in Commission District 4, which is Steve Bradshaw, and 5, which is Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson. I don't know if you have access to their constant contact website, because they will put out all kinds of development and meeting information on their website almost weekly. And then if you want to find out in terms of development in that area, you can go to DeKalb Planning and you'll be able to see what's going on with the planning board. The long range plans are usually laid out 5, 10, 15 years ahead of time. So if you see something going on now, it actually started years ago. It didn't just start. And then I don't know how many of you know that along George Luther, where you have the soccer fields. I don't know how many of you go past Wednesdays in George Luther. Well, there's been a soccer field there for years that has a lot of traffic. Well, Commissioner Bradshaw has started a project about a year or so ago to convert all of that into a kind of a sports complex for soccer. And then if you turn the corner on George Luther and head towards South Indian Creek, you see a new apartment building there across from the MARTA station. And if you've been through there the last couple of months, you'll notice that they're putting in a new irrigation system between George Luther and South Indian Creek as you get to Roland Drive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's a lot of construction and development going on, and in that particular area, and that can only do for the property values, and that's to make it go up.
That's correct. And also, thank you, Commissioner Johnson, for that input and for that information. Also, Commissioner Bradshaw has committed to creating a park, or building a park on Roland as well. I'm not certain if it's going to be in the same area where they're putting in the water pipes or the big pipes, but there is supposed to be a community park built there. He's committed to doing that as well. I would encourage everyone to subscribe to all of the commissioners' weekly newsletters. You'll find a lot of information about what's taking place in DeKalb County. Commissioner Lorraine Cochran Johnson, Commissioner Bradshaw, Commissioner Meredith Johnson, Commissioner Larry Johnson. all of them have wonderful information that is taking place in DeKalb County, and you will be surprised at what is taking place and how it's going to take how it is going to affect us. So I appreciate.
If I might add,
Yes, sir.
The park that you're referring to on Roland and South Indian Creek, they're in the process of developing it now as we speak.
Oh.
So you got that being done now, and there's another. I don't know if you heard about the senior citizens that's going to go down on Elm in South Hashton.
Mm-hmm.
All right, with the pool, and so that's going to be the first senior center on that particular community, up from around the corner from Wade Walker. And I understand that's going to have a large pool, or I think an Olympic-sized pool. So there's a lot of development coming to our community. I happen to live 5 minutes from that area. So I'm always looking forward to the things that are developed. And I might add that I've seen, you were talking about, what was it, network neighborhood. And I watch social media. I just don't engage in back and forth on social media. But I hear things all the time about the tax commissioner's office, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the latest things I heard is people are asking, well, why is there a line at the tax commissioner's office to go in for service? Well, I'm sure that most of us are aware that there's a such thing as COVID-19 in the community. And so we're exercising precautions in terms of servicing the public and providing service to the public. What do I mean by that? The very people that need to be protected are the taxpayers and the staff who will be servicing them. So if we didn't honor and put in safety precautions, I'm sure I would get a question as to why not. So I'd rather have you you stand in line and at least feel safe, as safe as one could be under the circumstances, than to have all the people in line inside the building sitting next to each other, perhaps passing the virus among themselves. And some of you may have seen that we have had a couple of people test positive, right? And we've had to close the office down. And we've had some people who were upset. Well, why are you guys up one day and closed the next? Well, this is the reality of the world that we're living in now, is that because of the possible virus and infection, we're working day to day. Hopefully we'll be able to stay open all the time. But we're making day-to-day decisions about what services we can provide and do it in the best way, safe and economically, and for employees as well as for the public. So when you see some things that you can see out there on Facebook, just think about it and say, what would you do if you had to provide a service in this particular environment?
Okay. I want to thank you so much, Commissioner Johnson, Miss Sandra Hines, Officer Pearson, and I am missing somebody. I know I'm missing somebody's name. That's what happens when you try and call people names. But I want to thank all of the esteemed guests that came online today to help us out with this meeting. I certainly appreciate you, and I take my hats off to you guys. For DeKalb Citizens United, appreciated and want to partner with each and every department in DeKalb County in order to create a clean, safe, and prosperous DeKalb County. And we want to do it by presenting forums such as this to provide education and resources to the residents. We believe that if we know better, then we'll do better. And that's what this is all about, trying to educate the community, because I think we all have some misconceptions about what you guys do and what you're supposed to do. So if I had a hat on, I tip my hat to you, but I thank you all from the depths of my heart. And to those participants that came online, thank you guys for joining us, and please forgive us for the tardiness and technical issues that we had. We don't often operate that way. We're learning this Zoom thing. I'm trying to get it together. Thank you guys. Hang in there with us and look for more invitations because we will be doing this again July, August, September, I believe. But I've got something new coming up and I'll start posting it after I talk with the team. Thank you all. God bless you all. Have a great evening.
Thank
Team,
you.
stay on.
Thank
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Appreciate you, Commissioner. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. Good night, everybody.